Malcolm Arnold joined the orchestra in 1940. I think initially he was second trumpet, but he very soon moved up to first trumpet. When choosing the programme, we could only plan for a maximum of 8 brass players at any one time, plus percussion. It was quite a narrow window we were looking for. And in fact, the first piece that occurred to me was the Salzedo Divertimento, because it's for 3 trumpets and 3 trombones.
Shall we talk about the Open University?
Absolutely, yeah, the Open University tune. In his programme notes, he makes it sound very simple. He says that the first movement's based on the 7-note theme. And if you look closely, it is, but it's based on a sequence of rising triads. So immediately 2 into 3 doesn't go. So you get overlapping intervals. And also because the notes are in pairs, you've got a 7-note pattern, which means that on the second repetition, what was the first note becomes the second note. So he makes it sound very simple, but that opening is somehow very enigmatic, and rhythmically it's a bit ambiguous. It hovers between F major and B flat major. Sometimes it's a feeling of being modal. And after that it's a very lively, almost dancey movement. It's full of energy and also great effective brass writing. He writes sort of bell effects where he builds up textures with accented notes, and it's just fabulously crafted. Salzedo had been a past member of the London Philharmonic Orchestra, and that then led on to, I was thinking very much of Stanley Woods, who died earlier this year, who I overlapped with in the orchestra myself, and he was a loyal servant to the orchestra for many years, a real LPO man. I discovered that he'd written these horn quartets, which fortuitously also included a tuba, so that meant our tuba player was on board. Stan was a trumpet player. He was initially in the orchestra from, I think, 1956 to 1960. He then went to the RPO for, I think, 12 years, in fact, where he'd have been a colleague of Leonard Salzedo. He had a couple of brief stints elsewhere, and then he came back and did, I think, 20-something years back with the LPO. And he lived locally to where we are now in Glyndebourne. He lived in Lewis, so over the years we were able to keep in touch with him, which was always a treat for us. Which then led to thinking how we can use the percussion, and a bit more research discovered that Salzedo had written the Concerto for percussion, using 4 players. So suddenly we got a programme which involved every brass and percussionist in the LPO. We've got people covering Malcolm Arnold in 1940 to 2020. And yeah, Simon's piece just makes me smile. It's a real celebration. There are little twists. You'll be listening, and then suddenly there'll be a little note or two here that here and there makes you raise your eyebrows. And then it all resolves, and I just can't help smiling when I listen to it.